The governor of Kano State, Abba Yusuf, has commended the judiciary for sustaining Nigeria's democracy in the aftermath of last Friday's Supreme Court judgment, which affirmed his election. In an emotional speech on Saturday, the governor expressed deep appreciation to the national leader of the party and former governor of Kano State, Rabiu Kwankwaso. He also thanked President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his respect for the rule of law and non-partisan stand while the court case played out.
The verdict of the Supreme Court is in total agreement with the clear aspirations of the good people of Kano State. The Apex Court has further confirmed the overwhelming mandate given to us in the March 2023 general elections. Today, therefore, is a day of hamdallah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We thank all the judicial officers that took part in making the work of the Supreme Court hitch, free, and pleasant. As I speak to you on this historic day, I am beset by multiple emotions. The emotion of gratitude, the emotion of humility, the emotion of joy, the emotion of course, the emotion of reinvigorated commitment to making Kano State the best in our country. Fellow citizens, may I at this point express my appreciation to the national leader of our party, His Excellency Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, for his continuous counsel and guidance since our assumption of office. Let me specifically register my sincere appreciation and that of the good people of Kano State to His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, Jagaba, and his Vice President, Alhaji Kashim Shettima, GCOM, for their statesmanship, leadership, and their respect for democracy. Let me re-emphasize that we shall continue to operate an open and inclusive government that is responsive to the yearnings and the aspirations of our diverse communities. We shall continue to strive to improve the general living condition of the people through relevant socio-economic policies and programs, as we have amply demonstrated within the last 7 months. We shall continue to place very high premium on improving the condition of our teeming youths and men, women and men. We have already started a series of empowerment programs for women, youths, and persons with special needs.
In the meantime, Governor Yusuf's party, the New Nigeria People's Party, says it's been vindicated by that Supreme Court judgment. NNPP's acting national chairman, Abba commended the justices of the Supreme Court for their courage in upholding the principles of fairness and equity, and expressed gratitude to former heads of state, religious, political, and traditional leaders, members of the bar, student bodies, and others for standing with the party during the period he termed Operation Save Kano and Save Democracy.
We are happy that at the end of the whole exercise, NNPP has been vindicated by the ruling of the Supreme Court and the statement of the chairman of the 5-man panel, Justice Inyang Okoro, JSC, who rightly observed that there was miscarriage of justice in the outcome of the matter involving our party and our governor, Engineer Abba Yusuf, at the tribunal and Court of Appeal level.
Well, the National Legal Advisor of the New Nigerian People's Party, Barrister Robert Hon, now joins us here on the morning show to have a conversation on what this victory means for NNPP, any plans to reorganize the membership drive, and possibility of mergers and coalitions as the 2027 general election looms. It's good to see you on the morning show. Thank you for being here. Now, let's start with reviewing the evidence adduced that the appeal was predicated on, of course, the alleged forgery of the NNPC membership card by Governor Yusuf. The Supreme Court, in a plethora of precedents, established that the issue of nomination of candidates is exclusively the internal affairs of a political party. Now, in the light of this emphasis on the internal affairs in the nomination process, how does the NNPP plan to strengthen its internal mechanisms to avoid future challenges to the validity of its candidates?
Thank you very much. Good morning, Oji. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Shaitan. Good morning, Nigerians. We appreciate God Almighty. We appreciate the judiciary, particularly the Supreme Court, for once again standing up firm to defend the rule of law and to sustain our constitutional democracy. They have demonstrated once again that they are final, and because they are final, they are infallible. I remember with nostalgia the dictum of the revered oracular Justice Kayode Osho of blessed memory, where he says, Supreme Court is final, not because it's infallible, but it is infallible because it is final. On that note, we want to further state that the principle of stare decisis, which involve precedents and the hierarchical order of courts in Nigeria, in our jurisprudence, is the anchor, is the spiral, is the binding wire that sustains orderliness, sanity, and justice. Ensure that justice is not only done, but seen to be done in our courts and in our land. It is on that basis that the Supreme Court, in the case of NNPP, Abba Yusuf, and APC at the Supreme Court, was livid with anger against the lower superior courts of records, which have abandoned the principle of stare decisis and precedents of courts, and almost throw the whole country into democratic anarchy, which was served by dint of show, of strength, of character, determination, doggedness, selflessness by the Supreme Court in the panel headed by Justice John Inyang Okoro, JSC. The significance of the Supreme Court judgment delivered 2 days ago, on the 12th of January, is far beyond the borders of Kano State. It's not about Abba Yusuf, the governor of Kano State, alone. It even transcends the shores of Nigeria. It has an international significance. The far-reaching political, economic, and security implications of that judgment are quite commendable. Imagine what would have happened if the Supreme Court did not stand up to sustain and maintain the sanctity of judiciary and justice delivery system. Would have been in a very serious, if not political, economic, security crisis, because the international community was keenly watching to see how we'll be able to navigate and sustain our justice delivery system. And that much the Supreme Court did. They need commendation. On the issue of evaluation of evidence, it was quite sad. But now the Supreme Court has saved the judiciary, it has saved constitutional democracy, it has done a lot of stable cleaning. Because these are well-entrenched principles of law. The issue of membership of political parties, sponsorship, has been entrenched in our jurisprudence, electoral jurisprudence over the years. The local classical is the case of Jagade vs. INEC, Oni vs. Oyebanji, and recently, the Court of Appeal itself heard in the case of Gregory Obi versus Tinubu, or APC versus Gregory Obi, that cross appeal, that the issue of membership of political party is an internal affairs of the party. And it is good law, it was a good pronouncement, because you cannot determine as an outsider who is a member of a political party and who is not. More so, like I said the other day, when I was here on this same channel, the issue of membership with the evidence that was adduced, which was analyzed by the Supreme Court and evaluated by the Supreme Court. Documents were tendered. Membership card was tendered in evidence from EC9, which is an affidavit of Abba Yusuf, in fulfillment of Section 20 of the Electoral Act, was also tendered, evidencing abundantly that he is a member of a political party, that he won the primary election, and that he's being sponsored by that political party. Like I did explain. The procedure is that when you fill from EC9 and you commission it at the High Court of a state or Federal Capital Territory or Federal High Court as required by the law, it is only your political party that will have access to upload your name to the portal provided by INEC. This is to checkmate. The spirit and the philosophy behind that is to checkmate the issue of private or individual candidature, to ensure that it's only a party that can sponsor you, as enshrined in our jurisprudence and our electoral law. We don't have room for private candidature. So to ensure that provision is sustained and observed, the Electoral Act makes provision, and the INEC guidelines also make provision that it's only a political party that can submit your name via from EC9, which is a form provided by INEC themselves. Only a political party that have access to that code and will do it. And that was done. All those were before the court. So the tribunal and the Court of Appeal, like I said the other time, we cannot say it's a ground of incompetence or misinterpretation of the law or an opinion of a judge interpreting particular sections of the law. No. It is like there were some external forces or pressure somewhere that overwhelmed them, which again we have to appreciate the Supreme Court, because we should understand that that pressure does not stop at those two levels. It must have also stormed the Supreme Court.
All
But
right.
they withstand those pressures, external pressures.
All right, Barrister Hon.
So
yeah.
what source?
Okay, I mean, thanks for the...
So what we are saying is this, sir.
Okay, go on.
Yes, sir. Please. What we are saying is this, sir. The institution, not just the judiciary, must be sustained, must be strengthened. Where you leave it to personality, the character of the personalities manage the institution alone, it gives room to manipulations.
Yeah.
The way the institution itself is strong, beyond the manipulation of any individual vested interest, political hyenas, political wolves, who have no any other interest than their selfish interest, which is antithetical to the development of the state as a whole, it creates a lot of problem. I want to repeat again, the judiciary need both financial and constitutional autonomy to operate. Part 2, subsection 4 of the Constitution created separately the judiciary with its own functions, enunciating the hallowed principle of separation of powers, where the legislature, the executive and the judiciary were given separate powers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right. Okay, Barrister
To perform.
Hon. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we understand. We understand all that, but we've got a few more questions for you, and I'd like to ask the next one. Yes, the Supreme Court has affirmed that the 1,019,602 votes cast for the governor were validly cast, and therefore Abba Yusuf is the governor of Kano State, governor on the platform of your party, NNPP. My question is, where does this take your party? A lot of people will argue that what happened in Kano happened essentially because of the overwhelming popularity of Rabi Kwakwanso and the Kwakwansia movement. And that's why that success appears to be limited to Kano State alone. Where does this lead you after consolidation? Will NNPP be open for consultations, for merger talks, as people have already started making moves towards 2027? Are you willing to go into discussions with other parties who might want to challenge the ruling APC in the next elections?
Thank you very much, Oji, Steve. You see, politics is about alignment and realignment for the purpose of achieving power. It is not the first time it will be happening. If at all we want to go into such arrangement, it happened in the First Republic, it happened in the Second Republic, it even happened in the aborted Third Republic, and even now. That's why you are even talking about it. It has happened severally in 1999, it happens in 2003, it happens in 2015. On the issue of alignment or discussion and all of that, of course, our party is open for discussion or open to discussions. But now, at this preliminary stage now, I call it preliminary because we are just coming out of a tussle that took up to 10 months. The primary concern is how we now develop Kano. How the governor will now take charge and develop Kano. We at the party level, like I said, we are open to discussions, we are open to alignment for the purpose, most importantly, for the purpose of saving or salvation of Nigeria. Our primary interest is not just for the party to wrestle power, but it's for the party to ensure that it has gained a position whereby it will give the country a better leadership, a better and far-reaching democratic dividends, contrary to what we are having now. Any such arrangement, our party will go with it. Now, I want to tell you on the issue of 165,616 votes. The Supreme Court clearly said those votes were valid and were duly cast by the electorate, the voters in Kano, for Abba Yusuf. They placed reliance on Section 63, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act, which made it very clear, very lucid, in a prosaic words, that the presiding officer who is satisfied that ballot papers, even though not marked or signed, will obtain from the booklet he used in the polling unit, he will nonetheless consider those ballot papers. That is ballot papers. The Section 71 talk about result sheets. That is where the tribunal somersaulted and the Court of Appeal went with them. 71 talk about result sheets. The tribunal abandoned Section 63 that talk about ballot papers and went to result sheet. So, 165,616 votes were voters from Kano who overwhelmingly voted for Abba Yusuf. And Supreme Court did well not to punish the voters and deny them their constitutional right to vote. Now, what we are as a party are doing going forward is to re-strategize, go to our trenches, and launch ourselves fully into a public space. You say Kwankwasia was limited in Kano and the popularity of Rabi Kwankwasia was limited in Kano. That's not true. If you look at the time frame within which NNPP was rejuvenated, it was in March 31st, 2022. We had barely some weeks before we could go into primaries, before we could do primary election and start flows from March 2022 to March 2023. It's just 12 months. From March 2022 to February 2023, just 11 months. And within that period, we have done a good showing. I will remind you, NNPP won some seats in Jigawa, won some seats in Taraba, won some seats in Nasarawa State. So it's not just about Kano. And presently, our governorship candidate in Taraba is at the Supreme Court. By the grace of God, the Supreme Court will also give us justice in Taraba State. So NNPP is not Kwankwasia. NNPP is not Rabi Musa Kwankwaso. NNPP is larger than Kwankwasia. There are members of NNPP who are not members of Kwankwasia. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso is larger than life personality, no doubt about that. And is a member of NNPP. His personality has galvanized the fortunes of NNPP across the country. But to limit him, for you to limit his popularity to Kano, is where I dispute and disagree with you. Kwankwaso is larger than Kano. Kwankwaso is Nigeria.
Well, all
and
right.
I must tell you, you can take it to the bank, that 2027, NNPP will be a party to beat. Thank you.
Well, it's good to hear that. It's good to hear that confidence as well. And it's also good to note that your party is open to consultations, because back in November, reports began circulating that Atiku Abubakar had called for a merger of opposition parties against the governing All Progressives Congress. At the time, your party was said to have backed that call. Well, a month down the line, the National Working Committee of your party denied being part of any coalition plan. Well, now that you have said that your party is open to consultations or coalitions or mergers, will that also include consultations with the Labour Party, given your party's history with the Labour Party? And what form will that take? Will there be any conditions?
Thank you, Shaitan. When we get to the bridge, we cross. It's too early in time for us to start talking details. We have not even opened any conversation with anybody. I've only told you that we are open, but we have not commenced any conversation with anybody with respect to merger or realignment or any of such arrangement. We are here to do that. But I told you that we are open as a political party. Alignment and realignment is part and parcel. It's a tradition of political parties. And I went to memory lane to tell you that in First Republic, there was such arrangement. Second Republic, there was such arrangement. Remember the UPN, UNBC, Action Group UNBC Accord, the NNPP, NPN Accord, the PRP, UPN Accord, and so many such accords were made. So, being a political party, ours will not be different. We cannot claim to be an individual. It's a community effort. So if anybody bring a healthy discussion with us and we are comfortable, align with our policies and programs, our manifesto and philosophy, of course we can go together when the time comes. But now, like I said, it's too early in time for us to go into the details of what we do. When we get to the bridge, we shall cross.
Yeah, well, you have said that NNPP is Nigeria. Last election, NNPP, gathered only about 1 million votes as opposed to, a party like the Labour Party. And so, and I know that your party had a history with the Labour Party saying that you will never be comfortable working with the Labour Party. I ask again, is that in the horizon? If that were to be, because as you know, the Labour Party was able to gather about 6 million votes in the last elections.
Thank you very much. See, life is dynamic. It's not static. Politics is an organic part of human existence. It's dynamic. It changes. Events changes. Situation changes. Facts and circumstances could change. So anything can happen. Actors or personnel may also change. So it's not always the same. It continues to grow, it changes, it metamorphoses. So for now, let us be contented. We cannot just lock up yourself. We are not like that. We are dynamic too. We are a dynamic party. So we cannot close up ourselves and say, no, we don't work with Labour Party, we don't work with this one, or we work with everybody. We may decide to grow on our own. And I want to also disabuse your mind on the fact that NNPP gathered only 1 million votes. That's for Kano State alone. I've already told you that NNPP wants some seats in Nasarawa State, in Jigawa State, and also in Taraba State. So for you to say just 1 million votes, you are not adding up the figures correctly.
But that is what is in the records. That's according to INEC.
INEC brought out their figures with respect to Kano State alone. They didn't tell you the figures of the win. For instance, in Taraba State, we did not only win, we also have votes for governorship candidate. Who came second? NNPP governorship candidate. We have some of our senatorial candidates who did not win but have votes. Our senatorial candidate in Taraba South defeated the city governor then, Darius Ishaku. He has votes for NNPP. So that's why I'm always telling you that this equation or narrative that INEC give you, INEC may be wrong. INEC concentrated in Kano and gave you the figures for presidential election only. Okay, let me didn't give you our governorship candidates across the states. We fielded candidates across so many states.
Okay, let me come in here, Barrister Shaitan.
Who gather votes?
Now, well, let's talk about electoral reforms, because we always seem to have this issue when it comes to elections where we have to go to, we appeal and then it ends up in the Supreme Court. But if you look at the Supreme Court's decision, it was focused on the technicalities of the electoral process in itself, particularly the stamping and the signing of these ballot papers. Now, my question is, how does NNPP plan to work with relevant authorities to streamline streamline and improve the electoral process for greater transparency in the future? Does NNPP plan to engage with the electorate in Kano and beyond to rebuild trust and confidence, especially following the legal challenges faced by Governor Yusuf, which was only cleared up 2 days ago by the Supreme Court's ruling?
Thank you very much. Electoral reforms are a continuous process. You see, you cannot envisage every situation as a human being. It's only God that can envisage what will happen. Because human beings are limited in their knowledge and their vision. So, look at what happened in Plateau State now, with the judgment delivered on the same 12th of January, 2024. What is the fate of 16 House of Assembly members and National Assembly members of PDP extraction from Kano, whose case terminated at the Court of Appeal on the principles that has been overturned by the Supreme Court, the issue of non-party structures. Maybe the Electoral Act will now have to look at that one too and see whether there should be a judicial review when such happened. We had the case in Kogi State, the issue of when a governor dies, what happened? There was no provision for it when Awudu died. And Falake, the deputy governor, wanted to come in. There were that lacuna. So there will always be that lacuna, but like I said, reforms, both the constitutional amendment reforms and the electoral reforms are continuous. Because occasion will arise that will warrant a reform or amendment. So we as NNPP, on the issue of ballot papers, there is no issue. Section 63, subsection 1 and 2 covers it very well, very clearly. So issue of ballot papers does not need, it was a interpretation by the tribunal and affirmed by the Court of Appeal that created that confusion. But generally, there's always room for improvement. There's always room for a reformation. As a human being, we shall continue to reform. So we as a party, yes, we are also challenging the INEC umpire, the electoral umpire INEC. Those will rise up to occasion. Because most of their activities across the country leave so much to be desired. I will not just praise them simply because in Kano they stood solidly behind the NNPP. In some places, there were some areas that they were not firm enough. And that led us to so many cases that came up to Tribunal and Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court.
All right.
So where at the appropriate venue and forum, NNPP shall make their contribution for reforms, electoral reforms, and INEC guidelines and schedule of activities with respect to enhancing the electoral process in Nigeria.
Okay. All right. I mean, just for the last 2 minutes that we have, very quickly, I would like your comment on yesterday's declaration by the governor of Kano State, Abba Yusuf, forming the Kano Elders Council and naming a number of his predecessors and a few other people, Shekarau, Kwakwanso, Governor Ganduje, as members of that Elders Council. What do you make of that? And what will be your key priority for the governor to follow now that he has been affirmed as the #1 citizen of Kano State? Very quickly, please.
That is very unique. That's very unique. That's very novel. It's a novel idea or concept from the governor, engineer Abba Yusuf. Inclusivity. Inclusivity is key. Giving everybody a sense of belonging. You see, the people he mentioned, every one of them has had experience, some even more than him, because some are his aiders. Most of them are his aiders. The aiders of Kano State should come together to build Kano. And it's very good. It's good for development in Kano. It's very unique. I pray that other states should follow suit. It reduces anchor. It reduces acrimony. Because it's not about NNPP, it's not about APC, it's not about political affiliation. It's about the people of Kano. What do you have to offer for the development of Kano? Bring it on board. The doors are open. We are not, this issue of winner takes all has been reduced in Kano. So if it's replicated or emulated by other states' governors, you see, there will be a lot of peace. He has invited Ganduje, who is a major actor, political actor in Kano. That is APC is also involved, NNPP is involved, or renowned, reputable civil servants are invited to join. Jurists, members of the jurists are invited to join. Everybody should bring what he has on the table to develop Kano. If we do it in our various states, it will go a long way. Apart from reducing the acrimony, the tension, and the bitterness among leaders of the state, it will bring peace and unity and fast, accelerated development of that state. So it's unique. If we replicate it across the states, we will not hear of anything. Rivers will be peaceful. Other states will be peaceful. The issue of godfather and godfatherism that usually bring acrimony between personal acrimony that will stampede the growth of the state, will be phased out. So I appreciate the governor for that initiative. It's very unique and novel and commendable. Thank you.
All right. On that note, Barrister Robert Hahn would like to thank you very much for joining us on the morning show. Thank you very much indeed.